Camera, city manager, the camera up and running up there? It is. Good. All right. Thank you. Council Precourt, Council Gay, Council Doyle, Council Roche, Council Minthorn, Council Cody, and Council Johnston. All members are present and counted for. I'd ask the audience to join the council in the Pledge of Allegiance. Alrighty, before we go to the regular agenda items, let me just point out, tomorrow is Election Day. For those of you who haven't availed yourself of absentee voting, we will be having our polls will open at 7, and they'll be open till 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So that, well, it is even light on the situation here. Thank you, Michelle. So I encourage you, if you haven't been there yet, we'll hopefully see you there tomorrow, because tomorrow is decision day. We've all been waiting for that decision for quite a while. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize Eagle Scout Joshua D. Martin. He will be awarded the Eagle Badge on November 9th. And any of you who are parents or been involved in Eagle Scouting know just how difficult it is to become an Eagle Scout. Less than 5% of all scouts attain that rank. So I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize Joshua D. Martin and congratulate him. He'll be recognized on Wednesday for his fine work and his accomplishment. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Let's get my sign-up list here. We'll begin with Ms. Coleman.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilor, and members of the public. Saco citizens have a right to know the policies and activities of our local government. In a well-functioning democracy, the government provides reliable and timely information to the public. Effective communication between the City of Saco and the public is especially important since we have been in the middle of transition between one administration and another. Major changes have occurred in the future. And in the future, indeed, there are a number of changes that will be occurring in all aspects of the city operations. Current changes have left some citizens uncertain about how information is conveyed to council members and the public. Harder yet is such late notification of changes to the public. Examples are included in the administration's recent report. One such example, the Stackpole Bridge. Approximately $400,000 was approved by the administration with the understanding that the bridge would be completed in November 2016. Now, only because of a document lost amongst the weeds of the website did I locate an update on the bridge. I would have expected this on the Public Works page as well. It doesn't appear on this page anywhere as of this morning. In order to reach a large number of the city population, the city needs to start recognizing the importance of press releases to the public television station and newspapers. It is not difficult to email such a document being posted onto the website to the respective newspapers and the television stations. One creates a group list and attaches a PDF document. The website, though up and running, is not actually as functional as the previous version. The great pictures sliding onto a homepage is great advertisement for the City of Saco. But when it takes up a whole full computer screen, it is not effective. One does not find the information expected on the home page, and to have to scroll down the full length of the computer screen, to me personally, is frustrating. Now, if the front page looked like the other pages on the website with a shorter banner across the top, then this look would be great. I can then see the information I'm seeking. Please, for the sake of citizens of Saco, release information sooner than later. Someone had to have known the bridge wasn't going to be completed before this week's postings. I end with this quote: communication must be HOT. That's honest, open, and two-way. Danny Oswald, Barbara Coleman, 45B Stockman Ave.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins.
John Harkins, 4 Christopher Terrace, Saco. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I was quite surprised here. This past week I had an opportunity to visit our transfer station and was quite impressed with the progress that was being made. I guess it kind of slipped by me because I was wondering when this project was going to be bid. So I'd like to know, the cost of that project, how many bidders were invited to participate in the process, and when this went out.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harkins, you're talking about what project was that?
Transfer station.
City manager, you want to just answer that?
Was that an advertised bid?
At the moment, I'll get it.
Okay, we'll get it for you, John.
Was it advertised?
I do not know the answer to that. I do not have the answer for you, John.
Okay. Another thing I'd like to call the attention of the council is the purchasing policy with respect to
Transfer station.
the debated professional services clause in the contract. I think this leads the council wide open as well to a number of fiscal matters that could be avoided. I think it needs to be tightened up and a little bit more oversight to the administration in that regard. And I guess one question, in our contracts for services, do we have surety to protect the community, to make sure these contractors perform in accordance with the stated conditions? Is there a performance bond required, a maintenance bond, or other surety? Can you answer that?
Yes, we do put that in our contracts.
Because I noticed that listening to one of the subjects here a couple of weeks ago, that there's money that was kind of left on the table for roads which were not improved, that should have been improved, part of the approval process, and I wondered why that was happening if we had a policy in place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Millard? Oh, okay, guy. All right, thank you. Next item, we'll begin with the consent agenda. The consent agenda items include confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Catherine Gaudette to the Historical Preservation Commission, and applications for a license to operate games with chance, Fraternal Orders of Eagle 3792, asset forfeiture of State of Maine versus Rasmani Sankara, confirm the mayor's appointment of Samantha Hurley to the Saco Shoreline Commission, and the confirmation of election warden appointment. A motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the items on the consent agenda? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Councilor Cody? Yes. Councilor Minthorn?
Yes.
Councilor Roche?
Yes.
Councilor Doyle?
Yes.
Councilor Gay?
Yes.
Councilor Precourt?
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. Regular agenda is a public hearing, Cuts Avenue LLC. Councilor Johnston?
Applicant Cuts Avenue LLC proposes to redevelop the Notre Dame Church property, which would include rehabilitation and conversion of the church building, removal of the rectory, and construction of a new apartment buildings to each side of the church. A total of up to 80 residential units are proposed, each 700 to 800 square feet in area with one bedroom. While the existing B3 zone allows multifamily dwellings, the applicant seeks a contract zone that would allow greater density than is currently allowed, reduce the side and rear setbacks from 10 feet to 5 feet, and reduce the number of required parking spaces from 47 to 33. This item was reviewed by the Planning Board at its October 4th, 2016 meeting. The board arrived at a positive finding on each of the four standards found in Section 1403-6 and voted to forward a positive recommendation to the Saco City Council. The item was discussed at a City Council workshop on Tuesday, October 11th, 2016. Staff views this proposal as a rare opportunity to make a community landmark into a 21st century landmark. Downtowns that close down after 5 p.m. are not a sign of a vibrant community. Cities must encourage greater residential density in their downtowns where people live and congregate. Services will spring up to meet the demand. Staff fully supports the Planning Board recommendation that would allow this project to move forward. I move to open the public hearing.
Your second motion moves.
Second.
Discussion on opening the public hearing. Hearing none, I'll just call for a hand vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. If the members of the board the public would like to address the council on it, we'd like the applicant to make his presentation initially, so folks in there just bring us up to date what you're doing and stuff, so they can have public comment. Okay, go for it.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, appreciate the opportunity to stand in front of you and talk a little bit more about the project. We have, as Councilor Johnson read, we are proposing to redevelop the church on Cutts Avenue. It's a part of the historic fabric of Saco, and we're planning to start marketing this in March of 2017 and hopefully get phase 1 occupancy in the church by August of 2017. We're looking at a project with 3 phases, the church being the first phase, about 19 new market rate apartments within the church to remodel the interiors. Phase 2 will be, as you face the church, will be on the left-hand side, and that'll be 28 new units of market rate apartments. Phase 3 will come last, and that is on the far right, and that will be 33 units of senior living. The design team has worked the plan so that late last week we were able to calculate actual ability to achieve parking on the site. So in the councilors' packets for the November 14th meeting, we have introduced the fact that we can meet parking on the site. So our contract zone has been amended in time for that November 14th meeting. So that'll be in your official documents for next week. The interiors of these apartments are ranging from 500 to 800 square feet. The typical floor, the amenities have on-site parking. We have laundry, bike storage, package receiving, and in the church we'll have that, particularly appealing for the millennials, will be that loft storage feel. The new construction will adhere to the energy code, so we plan to super insulate the existing church. Right now there is no insulation, so we've gained a lot of efficiencies in our comparable up in the Portland area. Our progress with the community is we have sought public meetings. We are having another public meeting on Thursday this week to continue along with the design. So right now what you're seeing here are placeholders for design. We're actually asking the community to work with us and share their input. We had a meeting with the Historic Preservation Commission about a week and a half ago to understand some of their concerns in this area. We're also announcing a community meeting on November 17th for the community to come and talk to us about the design and what they see, what they want to be in their community. We also provided a suggestion box downstairs with it's interesting. Actually shows a little bit of this drawing, but we've created an empty space on either side for the community to actually suggest what they would like to see and put it in the box. So we're actively looking to understand what the community wants, and we're trying to work with them. So those are downstairs, and we'll have an announcement in the Courier this week about that as well. Again, we welcome the comments from the councilors, and we're excited to be a part of this project in Saco.
Would it be possible for you to you're here this evening because it's a contract zone. That's what the issues we're looking at. Could you just refresh our memory, as well as for the members of the public, what provisions in the zoning ordinance you're looking for relief from with the contract?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're right now we're seeking 3 things. One included parking. We're taking that off the table because we have in the design met the parking according to the zone. So right now we're seeking 2 things. It's density. We're asking to go from 1,500 square feet per unit on the site plan area down to 340 square feet, and that gets us the ability to have 80 units on the site. We're also asking for setback relief, and that is 10 feet. The setbacks right now are 10 feet on the sides and the rear, and we're asking for 5 feet on the sides and the rear.
Okay, so the original contract zone had 3 items, now you're down to 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's why the public members know why we're dealing with this, okay? All right, any other?
And council will have to amend at the second and final, we'll have to amend the parking based on what they're.
Right, well, I assume when we, after the public hearing, part of the process is the council will discuss the public comments, receive additional materials from yourself next week at the workshop. When it comes for the second and final reading, those amendments can be made. Okay? All right, anything else you'd like to add?
No,
We
Mr.
open up
Mayor.
to the public. Thank you for coming out.
Thank
All right,
you.
members of the public wish to address the council on the matter.
On the senior housing, are you requesting assistance from Main State Housing to assist with building that? And are you requesting in the future a TIF on any of this property? And how many parking spaces are we ultimately going to end up with for this location?
Okay, thank you. Would you like to address those questions?
Yes, on the project, we're not seeking Main State Housing. Usually when you're chasing low-income housing tax credits, you're looking for the 50 and 60% AMI strata, and we're not looking to do that on this project. The need for a TIF, there probably is a need for a public-private partnership, some assistance. Don't know exactly how that's structured, but at this time, we're looking to understand what our ability is in the contract zone so that we can shape, form, and work on the pro formas and some of the financials on this project. So within the next couple of weeks, we should be able to understand what it is we would like to, go forward with on a partnership with the city with that kind of an assistance. On the number of parking spots, we now have on the site 44 parking spots, which by moving senior housing to the third phase, which as I said was 33 units, that actually achieving the number of spots on the site and moving the senior over to the third phase, that allowed us to achieve those 44, and it meets the current zoning requirements.
The proposal will meet the current zoning requirements.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the public? Come on down. By the way, just a reminder, if you give us your name and address. Barbara got away from us, but with the public, we want to make sure the public knows as well.
I was just thinking of that as I came down the aisle. I'm Beth Johnston. I live at 62 Pleasant Street, which is just a short distance from where this project is proposed. I was here and I spoke before, and so probably some of you remember some of my concerns. They did center to some extent around parking. They also center around the number of new residents to downtown Saco. There has been the suggestion that having more people in downtown Saco is an economic tool. And while in theory I can understand that, I did a little research today, and it's incomplete, and you may already know more than I do about this, although I do live in the midst of this and have for 40 years or so. But I was looking into the number of other apartments in Saco and in Biddeford, in the whole Mill Complex area, on Water Street in Saco. And I think if I did my math even close to right, we already have down on Water Street with Lord Pepperell and Riverview 170 or so units. We've got 150 coming online with Mill 4, I think. And we got another 80 proposed on Cutts Avenue. That's 402 units. Now, if we knew, and there was any guarantee that all of those residents would come downtown to shop, and I am a downtown business owner, that would seem like pure heaven. But the fact is that with all the units on Water Street for the last, I don't even know how long it's been now, since the 80s, there's been a minimal impact, I think, on the downtown area. So I would just like to suggest to the council that that in and of itself is not a good reason to grant this contract zone. I was able to go to the presentation that the developer presented to the Historic Preservation Commission, and I will say that I am totally behind his concept of redoing that church. I'm still very concerned about the number of units. I know that the developer says that he cannot do it with less than the 80 units, but we've already tweaked the parking a little bit. I wonder if we could tweak the number of units as well. And a couple of other things come to mind for me. one of them is that we are, I guess, just starting the process of, yet again, looking at our comprehensive plan. And it seems to me that this could be, we kind of got the cart before the horse when we talk about putting any more development in the downtown when we are about to look at our comprehensive plan. I would also like to remind you again, I know I did before, that if we're going to go into this contract, that we really should be looking at what can we get as part of our contract to benefit the downtown. There could be many things. I don't think they're limited to just right around this particular development, but I do think that one of the ideas that was sort of thrown around by the developer himself at the HPC meeting was, well, what if we sort of reconfigured Cutts Avenue? Maybe we make it more like Water Street, where there's a one-way street, where there's a little bit of parking on the side of the road, and where maybe it feels more conducive to residential living. So I would like to suggest that the council really look at what can benefit the downtown in terms of maybe some of these aspects. I know trees are great too, but I really think that there's a lot of things that could be done.
Beth.
Is my time up? Okay. Just one more thing, if I can remember it. I love the idea of a suggestion box. I do think it's great that they're reaching out to the community. Unfortunately, I will acknowledge a good portion of the community doesn't know how to reach back. But it doesn't mean they're not concerned about what happens there. So I think that the other parts, if these other buildings are going to go up next to the church, a lot of thought has to be given to how to make them fit into that space.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Others?
John Harkins again. I think it's great that the project is being proposed. I would be excusing the limitation on parking. I think parking is essential in the number of units projected, 80 plus units. There's only 44 places. And I think that's going to be a problem because our street parking right now, it's pretty busy if you go down Water Street. As far as the project itself, is a developer prepared to proceed if he's not granted a TIF?
Other questions from the public? Yes, sir. Come on down.
Hello, my name's Jeff Brochu, 257 Buxton Road. I came down primarily tonight with the issue of parking. Parking was a fairly large concern for me. It's nice to hear that it's been kind of resolved with the 44 spaces. I think it's great they're taking the opportunity and the challenge of trying to reuse a building that has a lot of emotional attachment to many people in our community. Like I said, my primary focus would be to make sure that nothing really changes as far as that, and that most people understand that because of this B3 zone, they're able to get away with 44 parking spaces. If it were anywhere else in the town, it would be 88 parking spaces. So I just would like to make sure that stays concrete in this contract zone. And then also to have some clarity that the contract zone, if I'm understanding correctly, is just for this developer, just for this owner. If this property were to not succeed and fail or to be sold and its use were to change, where they're going to eliminate the 33 elderly units and maybe make them all 80 units, my understanding is they'd have to come back and apply for a new contract zone. Is that correct? Or is this kind of like a variance and it's locked onto that parcel of land?
Well, the contract zone creates a contract zone on that piece of property, and it stays with the property theoretically in perpetuity, because I've asked that very question. However, the stipulations in the contract must always be met in order for the contract to be valid. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's like any other contract. So it is local to that piece of property, clearly, but it would be a requirement that even any future owner would have to maintain the existing contract, and I would imagine the transfer would have to be approved by the city as well. to another owner.
So I guess my suggestion would be maybe if they could just add in verbiage from what I saw in the proposal, it did not include the breakdown of the 80 units being 33 for elderly and the remaining for multifamily. If we could possibly add that in so that we know the ratio and anybody who may be interested in this property in the future very clearly states this is the ratio and that's why they're able to get away with the parking. So.
Well, yes, good point, and that's why we have the public hearings, the workshop next week. The council will discuss those very comments. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing none, any questions from the council? Want to hear a motion to close the public hearing?
I got some questions, Ron.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Maybe I misread this originally, but was this supposed to be like a 55 and older originally,
I don't believe so.
or was it supposed to be market rate with that amount of units?
I'd have to go back and dig out the proposal last week. I don't recall it being specifically for
Because I thought that was the reason they got the reduced parking, because it was going to be an older community that was going to be living there and there was going to be less need for vehicles.
Well, there are arguments made why there were less need for vehicles. That may have been one of them, but I don't recall specifically. Was your original proposal strictly for elderly housing? I don't recall that, because I remember the millennium issue in the churches because the accessibility.
Well, I knew that the man from Hardy Pond, I can't remember his name now, mentioned that if he couldn't get an elevator up, that the second floor was probably going to be more conducive to millennial or younger people living there. But I'm thinking that, from what I understood, this complex was going to be like a 55 and older community. Has that changed at all in the verbiage? I mean, it sounds like 47 units are going to be market rate and then 33 for 55 and older.
Council Precourt, originally we intended the church to be for market rate housing. The building to the left, which is where the rectory now stands, we had planned on that being the senior housing component. Just in the last week, we have moved the senior housing component to the Phase 3, which is on the right-hand side of the church. So that's what allowed us to get the additional, and the parking rules in the zone are 1/2 of what they are, or 1.5 for the market rate units at one bedroom and 0.5 at the elderly level. So that's why we moved it over to the Phase 3 and achieve that 44 on site as meeting the current zone.
So it's 1.5 for the market rate
Yes.
and 0.5 for the, wow, that comes up to more than 44 parking spots.
Not based on the number of units.
Then
Not based on the number of units for elderly and
Well, 0.5 would be what, 16 and a half for housing for the elderly? And 1.5 at 47 would be,
And Councilor, you also have as well the location of this project, which is northwest of the railroad, which allows for a 50% reduction beyond that initial calculation you just made. And that gets you to the 44.
Well, we can certainly ask Bob to review the zoning requirements, but if he tells me he's in the zoning requirements, he meets what we have in.
well, exactly, and that's, but like I said, for me, I thought it was more elderly originally, and it seems like it's more market rate housing right now. So I'm not slamming it one way or another, I'm just asking where the parking numbers came from and how they were arrived at.
Well, maybe Bob can make sure he sends us a memo before next workshop, so we'll have that. All right?
Yep, thank
Okay,
you.
any other questions? Kevin?
Dave, to answer your question, in the Courier, the first article on this, it was quoted that Mr. Carr said that the units will be marketed to urban 55-plus seniors. Quote, unquote, there seems to be a market for that in the Saco area. The older generation is looking to downsize, relocate, and be part of an urban environment. We stood on that church doorsteps and were able to walk to 5 different restaurants. It puts the church location ideally suited for that kind of customer, quote, unquote.
it's market rate. That's market rate.
And somehow, Kevin, I don't look at 55 as being, be careful there, pal. I mean, senior housing, 55.
Over 55.
I don't consider that. Yeah. Anyhow, that's a perceptual issue. Okay, any other comments?
No, I just,
Then I'll ask for a motion, motion to close the public hearing. Council.
Move to close the public hearing and further move to set the second and final reading of the document entitled Contract Zone Agreement by and between Cuts Avenue LLC and the City of Saco, dated October 4th, 2016, for the property identified as Tax Map 38, Lots 105, 105-1, and 106, as authorized by Section 1403 of the zoning ordinance pursuant to 30A MRSA Section 43528 for November 21, 2016.
Is there a second on the
Second.
motion? All right, discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Precourt.
Yes.
Councilor Gay.
Yes.
Councilor Doyle.
Yes.
Councilor Roche.
Yes.
Councilor Minthorn.
Yes.
Councilor Cody.
Yes.
Councilor Johnston.
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. Next item, public hearing, renewal application for special entertainment permit, Biddeford Saco Country Club. Councilor Cody.
Biddeford Saco Country Club has applied for renewal of their special entertainment permit. The permit will be concurrent with the establishment's liquor license. The applicants paid all fees. I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
I'm sorry, okay. Discussion opening the public hearing. Just call for a hand vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. The public hearing is open. Is anyone from the public who wants to address the council on the matter? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the
I
councilor.
move to close the public hearing. Be ordered that the City Council grant the renewal application submitted by the Biddeford Saco Country Club for a special entertainment permit to be concurrent with the establishment's current liquor license.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Councilor Cody?
Yes.
Councilor Minthorn?
Yes.
Councilor Roche?
Yes.
Councilor Doyle?
Yes.
Councilor Gay?
Yes.
And Councilor Precourt?
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. Next item, public hearing, second and final reading, school revolving renovation fund loan forgiveness grant financing. Councilor Doyle.
Thank you. On January 29, 2016, Saco Public Schools obtained approval from the Maine Department of Education for a school revolving renovation fund project for health, safety, and compliance repairs to the Saco Middle School. That approval offered the city a 0% interest 5-year loan in the principal amount of up to $20,294 to finance the project, but of which $8,572 of the principal has been forgiven, the grant financing. To obtain the grant financing, the city must enter into a loan agreement with the bond bank for the unforgiven $11,722 portion of the loan and must evidence that borrowed principal with general obligation securities bonds. However, because Saco Public Schools has already prepaid the $11,722 portion of the loan, the bond bank agrees that the bonds are paid and satisfied and will so indicate on the bonds. Please refer to the attached exhibits, including the order to authorize the school revolving renovation fund loan forgiveness grant financing for further details. City staff recommends the City Council adopt the order authorizing the school revolving renovation fund loan forgiveness grant finances as drafted by Drummond Woodson. Move to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, hand vote. Unanimous. The public hearing is open. Is anyone from the council, from the public wish to address the council on the matter? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the councilor.
I move to close the public hearing and be it ordered that the Saco City Council hereby approves the order to authorize school revolving renovation fund loan forgiveness grant financing for health, safety, and compliance repairs to Saco Middle School dated October 24th, 2016. I move to approve the order.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Discussion on the motion. Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Precourt?
Yes.
Councilor Gay?
Yes.
Councilor Doyle?
Yes.
Councilor Roche?
Yes.
Councilor Minthorn?
Yes.
Councilor Cody?
Yes.
And Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a first reading contract zone amendment, 95 King Street, the former Winter Haven Assisted Living Facility. Councilor Doyle.
Thank you. Applicant Thornton Academy proposes to acquire the former Winter Haven Assisted Living Facility at 95 King Street and convert it into student housing. The previous use was made possible by a contract zone approved in 1996. TA proposes to amend the contract zone in order to allow a student and staff housing facility for up to 18 beds, plus a living arrangement for a couple or family to staff the facility. City Council discussed this item during the October 24, 2016 workshop. Staff views this as a good opportunity for the reuse of an existing facility that could otherwise become a white elephant in this neighborhood. Move to approve the first reading of the contract zone document entitled Contract Zone Agreement by and between the City of Saco and Thornton Academy, dated October 24, 2016, and further move to schedule a public hearing for November 21, 2016, for the property identified as Tax Map 32, Lot 179, as authorized by Section 1403 of the zoning ordinance.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All right, discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on the motion. Counselor Johnston?
Yes.
Counselor Cody?
Yes.
Counselor Minthorn?
Yes.
Counselor Roche?
Yes.
Counselor Doyle?
Yes.
Counselor Gay?
Yes.
And Counselor Precourt?
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda, request to continue use of Keneally and Company until January 2017. Counselor Minthorn.
Funds for the marketing services are included in the fiscal year 17 Economic Development Department budget. The city has maintained its relationship with the vendor from the previous year. However, according to our purchasing policy, we are required to put this into bid. The marketing RFQP went out to bid on November 3rd, 2016, with an estimated contract award date of January 3rd, 2017. Staff recommends approval of the continuation of the ongoing marketing consultancy with Keneally and Company, Jennifer Keneally. As described above, I move to approve the continued engagement of Keneally and Company for ongoing marketing consultancy services on a month-by-month basis, not to exceed $2,000 a month through January of 2017, pending the receipt and review of proposals and the vendor selection based on the criteria set forth in a request for qualified proposals or RFQ for marketing services.
Is there a second to the motion? All right, discussion on the motion.
Just
Go ahead, Counselor.
I just want to clarify numbers. It was basically a 2-3 year fight to get these funds, to win these funds in the department. Does this represent the overall $30,000 total, or part of that $30,000?
Yes, this would be the contract that we
The
negotiated.
$30,000. So $2,000 a month since July has been spent,
Correct.
and it's now exceeded $8,000, right?
It will exceed 8,000 this month.
This month.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why I'm bringing it to you as a request.
So, and it's out to bid, assuming to them, right?
It's out to bid to them and
everybody,
everybody else.
Everybody.
Yep.
But we would have spent by January 12,000 of the 30 with them?
Yes, but we will look to have a contract that goes into next year as well.
Okay. So, for what council approved of 30, we're bidding out the remaining 18 or 20 or so, or what?
Well, I mean, you're also approving extension of this into January. So by theory, it's this and the other 20.
Yeah, but you are bidding out the remainder of the 30,000, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
I just want, so council approved 30, and it's just the ways we're spending it and bidding.
We are, and you've
Okay.
seen plenty of commercials out there, and you're starting to see more people at our events and more people in our community. Has that translated into new businesses coming in? Slowly, but it takes time.
Oh, no, it's not about the use of it necessarily. It's more the 10,000 foot view is like, where are we at? We
Yep,
approved 30.
We're looking somewhere between 30 and 35,000 right now is
Okay.
what we're looking for in the contract.
All set. Any other questions from the council? All right, hearing none. Call for a vote. Counselor Johnston.
Yes.
Counselor Cody.
Yes.
Counselor Minthorn.
Yes.
Counselor Roche.
Yes.
Counselor Doyle.
Yes.
Counselor Gay.
Yes.
Counselor Precourt.
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. All right, council discussion and comment. Let me just say before we begin, I met with the Conservation Commission this evening. This is a commission I've been working on trying to get sort of re-energized. It's an 11-member commission. It's somewhat restrictive because it has ward requirements, which makes it hard sometimes to find volunteers. But if you know of folks who would be interested in being on the Conservation Commission, ask them to send me their name, please, and the ward they're in so I can reformat the commission, because it is a valuable tool for the community. And, for example, the bag issue, and we looked at the styrofoam issue and pesticide types of it, a lot of things they could do with us to help us move this process along. So if you know folks, send me the name, because we'll certainly try to get them involved. Okay, That's my comment. Council comments. This is our discussion period. Okay, we'll start down the road. I see a hand here, Kevin. Go ahead. No?
No, I can start, but
Go ahead,
if anyone wants to
start.
start.
I didn't see anybody else over there, but. Oh, Eric, sorry, guy. Either
ahead.
one of you,
Go.
I don't care.
All right. We are right now under the audit period. I was looking for some information, couldn't get all the information. There's time constraints. I totally understand. Some stuff I was asking for more or less, but I've come to the conclusion I want to revisit for this whole council the idea of the finance committee is being able to meet just like the school committee does. They can meet before a workshop. We can make it on purpose a little inconvenient to us to get the real motivated people to be in the committee, but have a council-centric committee with outside people to name to the commission to meet on a regular basis and just talk finances. Early in the year, it's how the audit's going, numbers in that audit. Councils that are more numbers-centric can ask more questions. Some are not, or there could be a learning process. It doesn't shut out councilors. It's a public meeting. But I really strongly recommend that we debate at least and bring up again the need for a finance committee.
I agree with Kevin. I think I brought that up the last meeting that you weren't here.
No.
So there's
Okay.
2 votes there.
Well, I guess the question I would have is what keeps the whole committee, the council, from being involved? If you have finance questions, they can certainly be addressed in
That's-
workshop, right?
that's how I-
Previously, I think it was the last council that I think I made that suggestion. If we didn't want to have an actual finance committee, we could take a period before our regular meeting to have a finance portion of the meeting where we sat as a full body.
In the workshop.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could do it in workshop.
I've been on the school board finance committee in the past, and I've also gone to their finance committee meetings. They're not as structured and significant as one may assume, because they're just covering, just as we would, with the budget and items that are going on, where the budget stands, where, it's likely to be, et cetera. If the council wants to have that as part of a workshop, that's easy enough to do. I mean, we could have it as a regular bi-monthly workshop presentation. Where do we stand? I mean, Cheryl can answer that.
And our new special projects manager, who will start November 21st.
So, I mean, I'm not against a finance committee, but it's another subcommittee, and I think it's best. My experience has been council of the whole works the best. People who want to participate, listen to numbers, they will. People who don't, won't. But we can certainly incorporate as part of our routine process. I mean, we used to get a finance report every month from the council, and where do we stand and how we're dealing with the deficits and departments, et cetera, and that should be a part of our process, I agree. We could make it a part of the regular workshop rather than having a separate committee. It's entirely up, it's up to you guys.
I'd like it debated to have a separate committee.
Okay. Well, we'll put it up as a workshop item, and we'll bring it back to the council for an item to vote on, okay? All right, Eric.
I asked the city clerk how many absentee ballots we had, and she told me we had over 5,000 people vote absentee ballot. And I'd like to congratulate the city staff on what a great job they did. I saw on TV there was an absentee voting in some other communities with long lines, and I didn't see long lines here. You did a great job, and that really takes a lot of stress off Election Day to have 5,000 people in Saco already vote.
It is an excellent
Kudos.
job, and Michelle sits there and say, "Whew, that's 5,000 I won't see tomorrow." I'll see the other 5,000 tomorrow. Deep breath. I know tomorrow will be an exciting day, as they usually are. Other comments or questions? Roger, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question from a constituent in Saco. They wanted to know how many bids did the city get on the construction of moving the transfer station, or was it just the Shaw's
Well, that was
brothers?
presented this evening.
Yes.
I think we're going to get an answer to that, right?
I don't have that answer tonight, but I'll get it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
heard that earlier, yep. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Yes.
I assume, go ahead, Alan.
We had the fortune or misfortune over the weekend of having our ATM cards compromised with Saco Valley Credit Union, no fault of their own.
I mean, you as a person, or we as...
Me as a person, my wife as a person, we had about $1,500 taken out of our accounts. Apparently, there was a group down in the Queens area of New York that somehow intercepted a number of ATM card numbers and pins up in this area. They came in this weekend, hit ATMs all over southern Maine, and proceeded to do withdrawals from your accounts without you doing it. Luckily, I caught mine Sunday and shut it down. My wife wasn't as lucky because she didn't participate in online access the way I do, so she called this morning and found out that she had been cleaned out a little bit further than I had. The credit unions all over it, they did an awesome job with a room full of people this morning that were all having the same issue. They did a fabulous job and should be commended, but I would encourage everyone to check your accounts and see if you may also have been hit. I don't use my card that much, so I'm wondering if it wasn't one of our local grocery chains or several that may have been the actual victim in this thing as the source of those numbers. So,
Thank you for sharing that with us. For those that are listening and those that are here, be aware, because this is not an uncommon event any longer. Roger.
And I'd like to also comment on that. Somebody from my work got attacked this weekend also.
yep.
Okay, the world of the internet. All right, well, good luck all tomorrow. I assume I'll see some of you out there, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Wow.
29.